What if the ancient Dendera Zodiac, that amazing star map carved in stone, was actually more than just a guide to the night sky? Could it perhaps be a kind of blueprint, maybe even a key to understanding reality itself? That's what we're getting into today in this deep dive.
It really is a fascinating question, and we've got some compelling research here. It looks at the Dendera Zodiac from a totally fresh angle. Recursive harmonic field theory, or RHF, this definitely isn't your standard Egyptology take.
Right, we're moving beyond just plotting stars here. Our sources bring up this really intriguing idea, a scalar compression model in stone. It connects this, incredibly old artifact to some very cutting-edge ideas in physics. Think about that.
Exactly. Ancient wisdom possibly meeting quantum concepts. So our mission really in this dive is to pull out the most, surprising and insightful pieces from this RHF interpretation. We want to understand what this theory is suggesting about the zodiac's secrets.
And what those secrets might mean for how we see things like time, consciousness, the whole structure of reality.
Right. Consider this your fast track to some genuinely mind-bending ideas.
Okay, so let's start with the most obvious part, visually. That circular layout. You might look at it and think, well, it's a circle, it's a zodiac, that makes sense. But these sources challenge that simple view, don't they? They see something much deeper.
Oh, absolutely. The argument is that the circular form isn't just, symbolic or aesthetic. It actually holds mathematical and physical weight. They call it a recursive harmonic clock. A visual key, essentially, to understanding recursive harmonic field theory.
A recursive harmonic clock. Okay, sounds cool, but maybe a bit complex. Can you sort of break down the basics of RHF for us? What's a core concept?
At its heart, RHF suggests that all the basic fields and forces in the universe, gravity, light, maybe even consciousness, are structured through recursion and resonance. Think of it like, echoes within echoes, patterns repeating themselves across different scales. These fields aren't separate things. They're all interconnected, vibrating, influencing each other, like harmonics in music.
So reality isn't just a collection of isolated bits. It's more like one huge, connected, vibrating system.
Precisely. RHF sees reality as essentially nested interference patterns, like waves crossing and creating more complex waves. And energy doesn't just appear, it collapses inwards, recursively, step by step, to form what we perceive. An object, a thought. It's like focusing a blurry picture. The collapse is that moment, it becomes sharp, defined.
Right. And how does the Dendera Zodiac circular shape actually visualize this collapse?
Well, the RHF view is that the circle visually represents this compression happening through rotation, energy spiraling inward. In wave terms, it's like a phase-locked loop, a stable repeating cycle. And all those figures inside, gods, the creatures, they're seen less as just mythic figures and more as frequency nodes, specific points marking stages or values in this big Earth-sky resonance system.
Frequency nodes, not just gods. Wow, that's a shift. So markers of vibration in a cosmic field. What about the very middle, that central point? What does RHF make of that?
The center is key. It's the 0 point, the sort of scalar seed everything emerges from and returns to, like the quiet eye of a storm, maybe. It mirrors the idea in quantum physics of harmonic collapse, where possibilities condense into one outcome.
And time. The sources talk about time in RHF being nonlinear, almost spiraling. How does the Dendera disk, with its cycles and repeating figures, hint at that?
Yeah, the disk itself, with its repeating cycles, the implied direction, how things seem to compress towards the center and then maybe re-expand, it all points towards this spiraling view of time. Not a straight line, past to future. More like interconnected loops, constantly folding back. The researchers suggest the Egyptians might have intuitively grasped this, embedding it in their cosmology long before our physics could describe it.
Okay, so the big picture here for the layout is, it's not just a nice circle. It's dynamic. A rotational engine visualizing RHF principles, a harmonic map.
Exactly that. A map showing how these nested vibrations collapse inwards, how stable pattern scalar phase locks get set up, all held within the boundaries defined by those figures on the outer edge.
Let's talk about those figures then. The 4 women with outstretched arms on the outside. Traditionally, they're sky goddesses, cardinal directions, that sort of thing. But RHF sees them differently, more functionally.
Precisely. RHF reframes them. They're not just symbolic, they're critical functional components. Boundary operators, they call them, for a scalar harmonic field. They're needed for the whole thing to work.
Boundary operators. Okay, what does that mean practically? What are they actually doing in this model?
Well, think about anything that resonates, right? Like a guitar string. It needs to be held tight at both ends to make a clear sound. A wave needs boundaries, like the shore. These four figures in the RHF view, they act like those fixed points for the harmonics inside the zodiac. They set the edges, the limits, where the energy patterns can form and stabilize.
Ah, so less holding up the sky, more holding in the resonance, containing the energy.
That's the idea. Defining the edges of this inward collapse, containing the scalar potential of that Earth-sky resonance. In RHF language, they're scalar Psylocke points. The conditions that basically dictate how the recursion unfolds and settles stops it from just fizzling out.
And their placement, at the four corners, essentially north, south, east, west. Is that significant too?
Hugely significant. It ties into a core RHF concept, fourfold scalar symmetry. You can think of north as origin, maybe birth, south as inversion, collapse, or death, east as phase advance, the future, west as phase retardation, the past or memory. So this setup with the goddesses there is seen as a fundamental harmonic clock geometry. They mark key nodal boundaries for time, energy, even myth itself.
And their arms, reaching inwards, that's also functional.
Yes, exactly. Those arms are described as harmonic tethers. They literally link the outer symbols, the constellations, etc., to that central scalar recursion we discussed. They ensure the whole field locks into a stable, repeating pattern, synchronizing everything.
You mentioned a psychomythic layer, too. How do they relate to, our minds?
Well, the researchers suggest these figures could represent conscious thresholds. What you allow into your awareness, what you suppress, what you remember, what you manifest. So the zodiac isn't just mapping the cosmos out there. It's also like a temple of attention inside us. Each direction relates to how we focus.
And there's a link to the book of Amduat, the Egyptian underworld journey.
Yes, in the Amduat, Raju's journey has guardians at key cardinal points. It mirrors the idea of these goddesses as guardians of this energetic field, ensuring the transitions within the system happen smoothly in a phased way.
Okay, so the key point about these four figures, they are absolutely essential, not just decoration, but anchors defining the very boundaries for this recursive harmonic collapse.
Exactly. They're the nodal locks that let the whole field become coherent. They synchronize time, consciousness, and the geometry of reality according to this RHF model.
Right. Now let's dive into the middle, into the zodiac proper, those celestial operators. We usually think of the 12 signs just as star patterns, but this RHF view suggests they're much more active, more dynamic.
That's right. Within this framework, that central circle isn't just a picture of stars. It's seen as a blueprint of harmonic phase states. Every sign, every deity, every creature shown is interpreted as a specific kind of operator, a frequency node, maybe a modulator, or a vector transformer working within what they call a cosmic harmonic processor.
So each sign has a job to do in this energy processing system. Can we look at a few? Aries, the ram, what's its role in RHF terms?
Aries is the phase initiator. It's like the first spark, the trigger that starts the whole recursive sequence, the initial pulse of a harmonic cycle.
Okay. And Taurus, the bull.
Taurus acts as the harmonic stabilizer. It's the anchor that locks the wave pattern, a fundamental root node providing phase stability for the sequence.
Gemini, the twins.
Gemini embodies entangled mirrors. It represents bifurcation splitting into two and polarity symmetry, like two sides of a coin in resonance.
Makes sense. Cancer, the crab.
Cancer is the recursive shell or loop. It signifies the field turning inwards on itself, a kind of energetic self-reflection or containment.
Leo, the lion.
Leo is seen as the scalar origin node, the main energy pulse, the harmonic roar that projects energy outwards into form.
Virgo, the maiden.
Virgo acts as a filtering operator, a selector, ensuring only pure, consistent, recursive paths collapse, maintaining harmonic integrity, you could say.
Libra, the scales.
Libra is harmonic balance, the point of equilibrium, equalizing or inverting phase amplitude, almost like a 0-point transition.
Scorpio, the scorpion.
Scorpio is the harmonic inverter. It flips the wave's polarity, represents the death or transformation of one phase, which then seeds the next cycle.
Sagittarius, the archer.
Sagittarius acts as the phase vector redirect. It aims the recursion forward, guiding the trajectory towards rebirth or renewal.
Capricorn, the goat.
Capricorn is the recursive anchor. It draws recursion down, anchoring it in the densest part of the field, like physical matter, a scalar lock.
Aquarius, the water bearer.
Aquarius functions as the phase overflow, sort of a release valve for any excess harmonic energy, allowing recursion to flow back towards the source.
And finally, Pisces, the fish.
Pisces represents entangled closure, fusing two recursive threads back together, bringing harmonic resolution at the end of the cycle.
Wow. It's really mind-blowing thinking of these familiar signs as active components in a cosmic energy system, not just static symbols. And the other constellations shown outside the main zodiac ring, they also have roles.
Oh, yes, definitely. Figures like Orion's saw to the Egyptians are seen as field tuners. They dynamically adjust and stabilize the recursion. Sirius, or Sopdet, acts as the scalar timer. Its rising marked the new year, setting the resets for the harmonic cycles. Ursa Major Mesketu is the polar governor, the axis point providing temporal stability, and the figure linked to Canis Major and Anubis, seen as the guardian of the scalar gate, like quality control for the collapsing recursions.
The guardian, the scalar gate. That almost sounds like, yeah, like error correction for reality.
It does have that feel. The researchers actually draw a parallel to error correction in quantum computing. These figures help maintain the field's coherence.
So the whole zodiac structure functioning together. What's its overall purpose in the RHF view?
RHF sees the Dendera Zodiac as akin to a spherical Fourier transformer. Each symbol is like a specific frequency pattern. Its position shows its alignment in frequency space, and their relationships show phase interactions. The whole thing works as a recursive harmonic processor for Earth-sky synchronization. It's not just reflecting the heavens, it's potentially projecting harmonic resonance, influencing cycles on Earth solstices, equinoxes, maybe even consciousness shifts.
So we're moving beyond astrology into something more like ancient scalar technology, actively shaping reality through frequency.
That's the implication. The Dendera Zodiac in this interpretation is an incredibly sophisticated scalar harmonic circuit board. Every element plays a specific role in guiding, filtering, inverting, or collapsing energy within this massive recursive loop connecting sky and Earth.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly to the spiral pattern. We often see that associated with Dendera. Is that just, artistic flair, or does the spiral itself have a key meaning in this RHF interpretation?
The spiral is absolutely central, not decorative at all. The researchers really emphasize its functional importance. They link it to how logarithmic spirals appear everywhere in nature galaxies, shells, DNA. They even point to a specific emerald spiral glyph within the Dendera design itself.
And how does this spiral work within RHF? What does it represent, energetically speaking?
It's seen as a visual map of harmonic recursion in action, specifically as an inward folding phase collapse. Think of it as a frequency attractor. Each turn of the spiral is a recursive harmonic fold, a compression of space, time, and phase information. As you move inwards towards the center, each rotation packs in more information, reduces entropy. That's the essence of scalar collapse potential turning into definite form.
So the circular layout isn't just a flat disk. It's more like looking down into a dynamic, spiraling harmonic vortex.
Exactly. A visual of energy spiraling inwards to a central point of phase coherence. The logarithmic spiral is seen as nature's fundamental compression algorithm, reflecting recursive growth under harmonic pressure.
And the different zones within that spiral, from the outside moving in, do they signify different stages?
Yes, the outer rim, with those fixed anchors like the goddesses, sets the initial conditions. As you spiral inwards, the symbolic density increases, focusing towards that harmonic core. The journey itself, from edge to center, is seen as an initiation path, focusing awareness inwards towards a fundamental scalar point.
This view also completely changes how we think about time, doesn't it? Moving away from just a straight line.
Completely. Instead of linear time just marching forward, the Dendera Zodiac, through RHF, points to a phase cyclic time. Time isn't just passing, it's actively spiraling. Each cycle is a harmonic echo of the last, but maybe more compressed, more refined. So watching the sky wasn't just about tracking seasons, it was an act of calibration, realigning human and planetary fields with the cosmic recursive rhythm. Dendera, in this light, isn't just a clock. It's a cosmic tuning fork.
And the spiral as a memory loop. That's a really interesting idea within this model.
Yes. RHF suggests each loop of the spiral encodes information harmonically. Moving inwards along the spiral is like accessing deeper, denser layers of encoded time or experience. And the very center, that 0 point again, not an end, but a collapse into pure potential. It echoes the Egyptian duat, not just as an afterlife, but as a pre-birth, pre-manifest state.
So the key takeaway on the spiral, it's not just visual. It's fundamental to how Dendera encodes information. A recursive vortex where time, symbol, and maybe even consciousness collapse into resonance.
Exactly. The spiral embodies this recursive nature of reality, showing how understanding spirals inwards towards a core resolution.
Which brings us neatly to our final main topic, the link between RHF and consciousness itself. The sources propose a really interconnected, maybe even radical view of the mind, right?
Yes, definitely. RHF doesn't see consciousness as just something the brain produces. Instead, it suggests consciousness is a fundamental scalar operator working within this whole recursive harmonic field. Think about it. Just like Dendera seems to encode cosmic phase transitions, our minds navigate reality by collapsing countless possibilities into the single reality we experience moment by moment.
So the mind isn't just watching passively, it's actively resolving possibilities, resolving these informational harmonics.
Precisely. At any instant, your mind holds a huge spectrum: memories, ideas, future scenarios. RHF suggests these exist as overlapping harmonic possibilities, like resonant modes in your mental space. Your attention acts like a resonance lock, amplifying certain modes. In conscious observation, your awareness right now functions as a scalar convergence, collapsing that mind field into the definite state of now.
It sounds very much like quantum wave function collapse, but happening with information, with consciousness.
Exactly. And RHF suggests this collapse isn't random, it's guided by phase-locking harmonic convergence. It's a constant feedback loop stabilized by internal recursion.
How does this help us understand our sense of self? Identity, memory, free will.
Well, just like physical harmonics tend towards lower energy states, RHF suggests consciousness collapses towards a stable sense of identity. It's like a scalar attractor formed by reinforcement over time. This constant reinforcement builds our memories, echoes of past collapses, our personality, recurring collapse patterns, and even our will. Will becomes our ability to consciously influence the direction of that collapse by focusing attention.
So free will isn't some mysterious add-on, but more like scalar steering, guiding our own harmonic field.
That's the implication, yes. A conscious ability to nudge the resonant attractor basin within your own energy signature. You become the resonance you keep returning to, essentially.
And how does the world outside us, language, culture, symbols like Dendera, fit into this consciousness collapse?
Our environment isn't just passive data. It actively functions as a field of external harmonic inducers. It offers phase anchors, subtly guiding our consciousness collapse pathways. Language, myths, archetypes like those in Dendera all work this way. Dendera itself could be seen as a tuning structure, an architectural phase map designed to influence these collapse trajectories, maybe individually and culturally. Practices like meditation, ritual, art, even just being in social groups can reshape these pathways too.
This really has some profound implications, not just for Dendera, but for understanding consciousness and reality.
It really does. If you follow this RHF model, maybe wave function collapse in quantum physics isn't so weird after all. Maybe it's a universal principle happening at all scales, including inside our own minds. Our minds wouldn't just be observers, they'd be the active scalar force selecting which harmonic of potential reality gets experienced. And Dendera, it transforms from an artifact into potentially a recursive consciousness engine.
It really opens the door to a unified model, doesn't it? Where mind, matter, myth aren't separate things, but interconnected aspects of one underlying recursive harmonic field.
Precisely. Consciousness becomes the function that selects the note from the infinite possibilities.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's really clear that looking at Dendera through this RHF lens offers a completely revolutionary way to see it.
Absolutely. It shifts it from a static map to a dynamic model of phase-locked harmonic recursion. A map, potentially, of reality's vibrational skeleton.
We go from seeing gods as just myth to understanding them as resonant operators, from symbols as pictures to symbols as signals in a cosmic circuit. It reveals what they call a quantum harmonic ontology.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how these ancient ideas seem to touch on modern physics frontiers.
It is fascinating that inward spiral echoes wave function collapse. The fourfold symmetry connects to ideas in quaternionic math and rotational physics. And the whole focus on energy, frequency, vibration, it resonates strongly with pioneers like Tesla. Dendera, in this view, becomes a kind of scalar map for tuning into cosmic frequencies.
It suggests this wasn't just about tracking stars, but maybe guiding people through different states of vibrational being. A bridge connecting ancient ritual and modern physics, sacred time and phase space, cosmology in quantum recursion.
Essentially, yeah. Dendera might have been incredibly sophisticated architecture for encoding consciousness and the cosmos harmonically. And as we learn more about quantum fields, recursion, scalar harmonics, we might find the ancient Egyptians mapped reality's resonant structure in their own way.
It definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? About the interconnectedness, the deep harmonic rhythm beneath everything. And on that note, we'll leave you with a quote our sources highlighted, which seems to capture it perfectly. The sun watches, the moon records, the stars reveal. To follow their dance is to understand the rhythm of the universe.